Risk it all to be yourself. I never really understood the importance of authenticity until a while ago, and it's definitely been one of the biggest realizations I've had on my self-development journey. I finally understood that your purpose is to be as fully you as you can. Gabor Mate, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's one of the people that have made this very clear to me. He's one of the people that have talked a lot about authenticity, and he's really made me understand what it means. So from his words, authentic comes from auto, which means the self. And what it means to be authentic is to be yourself and not be afraid to be yourself. The thing that stuck with me the most of what he said in terms of seeking authenticity and trying to be authentic is that you don't have to try and be authentic. Just notice when you're not. Because sometimes you'll do something and then a few seconds afterwards you'll be like that wasn't really me, or that wasn't very authentic, or like you said yes to someone when you really wanted to say no just to please them. It's like something within you notices when you're not being authentic. The way to find your authenticity is to just notice when you're not being authentic, because that's the self. The side of you that notices when you're not being authentic, that is the self that is authentic. We're afraid to be ourselves because we associate being ourselves with the threat of being rejected. And this has extreme implications. There was a study where they followed 2,000 women over 10 years, over a 10-year period. Those women who were unhappily married and didn't express their feelings were 4 times as likely to die as those women who were unhappily married but they did talk about their feelings. Inauthenticity is a major cost, both mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I've heard about this a lot. Emotions, they need to go somewhere. They can't just be repressed, because they'll eventually come out in very ugly, destructive ways. And when you're being inauthentic, you're repressing your true self. The number one regret of the dying is that they weren't being themselves, that they weren't being authentic. From a trauma lens, the body keeps score of what the mind represses. When you're making a choice in life, scan your body for tension. It often reveals truth before the mind rationalizes. There's a paradox in authenticity, and it's similar to what Gabor says, is that you don't need to try to be more authentic in the way that you think you do. You are here to remember that you already are authentic, because authenticity is not something that you construct, it's not something you create, it's your natural state of being, it's just who you are. Once you release fear-based conditioning, authenticity is what's there. I've learned that it's really important to listen to your emotions, because when you feel excitement, when you feel a sense of peace and just like this sense of like, this is right, then that's like your system signaling alignment. If you feel like frustrated or doubt, then something's misaligned. And it's not bad, but you have to listen to those emotions because they're like guidance. I've mentioned Carl Jung a lot before. I'm just really interested in his work, but he has this famous quote which I think just like encompasses his whole work, which is, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And his work centers around individuation, which is exactly that, becoming your true self, becoming whole. Not the self we perform for others, but the deeper integrated whole of who we are. Authenticity is individuation. It's a lifelong psychological and spiritual evolution toward wholeness. And I've talked about the shadow self as well. Everyone has a shadow self, apparently, so the disowned, socially unacceptable, or unconscious parts of ourselves. Authenticity requires acknowledging all the parts of yourself. It's not about being good or only a positive person, but about integrating the full spectrum, the good, the repressed, the dark side of yourself. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, you have to risk it all to be yourself, and whatever price you pay for that is worth it, because I think you definitely, if you're an extreme people pleaser and you're conscious of it, you definitely get to a point where it becomes very, very painful. Okay, commit to doing inner work and never conform to who you think you should be or what someone else wants you to be. And I've mentioned Naval so many times, but like, it's so strange, like all of these things that I'm researching, they're all coming together at once. But he has a lot of quotes on this. So, you escape competition through authenticity. No one can compete on being you. It's freedom, and it's also your strategic advantage. If you want to be rewarded, you have to be irreplaceable. If you want to be irreplaceable, you have to be unique. If you want to be unique, you have to be authentic. If you want to be authentic, stop listening to everyone and everything else. It's drowning you out. A happy person isn't trying to be anyone else. Authenticity is not performing an identity, but recognizing your own nature. The future of creativity belongs to the sovereign individual. This just means somebody who is very authentic, listens to themselves, builds and creates for themselves, operates from authentic self-expression, not just imitation, and someone who treats life like an infinite game of exploration, not competition.